How's it going, man?
Good, man.
Looking
Dude, I'm
good.
uh, I'm impressed with your numbers, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, trying to catch up to you. I was just watching your what do you call it? Just I guess webinar with Christian just earlier today, this morning. Yeah, incredible numbers. 11,000 policies in force, 7.5 years.
So
Yeah.
I know you were saying that, you've been around what, 12 years?
It's gonna be 13 years. Actually it is 13 years, so it'll almost be
And
14. Yeah.
I mean, at your pace, I know you said with that interview with Zach, you guys were at what, 85, 9, something like that?
Yeah, just this month we went up to 9,200. So we broke 9,000. Hopefully we'll get to 10,000 by the end of the year. That's kind of our goal. But yeah, still a little while to go. It's as you know, probably it's just not easy to increase it once you get to those numbers because policies eventually, some of them are falling off, so you got to write more to make up for that.
Well, as soon as I don't know, I saw, I don't remember when I kind of saw your numbers the first time, but it had to be, what, 3, 4 years that you guys have kind of been at this pace? Is it longer?
I think this year or last year, I would say it's we had a little bit more of a faster pace, I would say, and every year, and that's kind of been um something maybe I'm proud of is that it's been slow, but every year, every month, we've been writing more policies, so it's been a slow, gradually increasing, when it comes to new business numbers.
I mean, so was there a couple of years where you didn't really sell anything, or is it really attrition that's been kind of your Achilles heel? I mean, 9,000 is incredible, but at your pace right now, you're selling what, 5,000 a year?
No, last year we did like 3,600.
Okay.
So this right now, we sell about 300 to 400 policies a month.
Hmm.
So I think it'll be a little bit better, but it's not going to be anything like, staggering, different from one year to another. But it is going the right direction.
Yeah, I mean that's a credible amount of policies. Is it really like you know the numbers that you guys are doing? I mean, is attrition your biggest Achilles heel right now?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, every agency has their own different style, and there's a lot to learn. And I want to learn a lot from you actually today. But retention is something where, depending on, I think, how you get your policies, ours is a lot of it is, I don't think the relationship is as deep because it is over the phone. Um, and, convenience is kind of like our competitive advantage. It's also pretty convenient and easy for them to cancel with us. So that's a challenge, I think, for all, agency owners. So our retention definitely could get better. Um, but I think it's a combination of both. We always want to sell more. We always want to keep more. Um, but yeah, what are some of your like retention strategies that has helped you? I mean, because your pace to get to that numbers, I mean, it must be pretty solid. Where and I could already probably tell. You meet people, you get to know them, right? Is that what it is, or is there any other like systems you have in place that kind of helps you out with the retention part?
So I mean, I think that the meeting people, like you said, I mean, I think the way you market is kind of how that relationship kind of progresses, I guess. And so I think retention for a couple of years was not at all a problem. I mean, if we had 3,000 at the start of the year and we sold 3,000, we'd have 5950. You know what I mean? Like it
Wow.
wasn't. And I'm exaggerating, but it was, a lot of it was, we did have I guess our first like 2 years of growth, we did have a pretty competitive product line, which was nice, and then we did have an aggressive marketing strategy of events and meeting people and that kind of stuff. And but what's really crazy is our retention has, I guess, gone up through the years. because we've just gotten better at servicing. You know what I mean? Like as our product line went from this insane product line that was, 30% savings for everybody that had been with State Farm for 10 plus years, to now we're 15% higher than the market. That's a drastic amount of rate, both in a, competitive pricing standpoint and from a retention standpoint. People just get ticked off when that level of rate is pushed down their throat. So, I mean, we've taken 100% auto rate in the last 4.5 years. So
Oh
it's
my
like,
goodness.
we had
What?
a great product line, but
Uh-huh.
nobody really gets excited about that kind of rate. So it's, I think that,
Wow.
it was a lot of, a lot of factors, but I think, um, what I found with marketing for us, that was kind of like step one for our retention is
Yeah.
if we develop a good enough relationship on the front side, we keep them longer, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. And so we've got, um, I'd say probably 75-80% of our book has come from event marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's setting up at a trade show. It's, saying hi to people as they walk by, that kind of stuff. But with the whole COVID stuff, I mean, that's completely gone right now. And I don't know when that's coming back, so that's been an interesting piece of 2020 is, we've basically had to reinvent our entire marketing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And so the, uh, we pivoted 6 months ago after I talked with Jesse over to COI marketing, really trying to go after mortgage brokers, realtors, golf cart shops, those kind of things, just places that we can sell policies. And thank God we did, because after COVID, I think our last event was in February,
Mm-hmm.
and that was even late. The last event, like nobody was there because
Yeah.
everybody was
Yeah.
in their houses.
Yeah.
And so from February till July, we would have done, I don't know, 15 events that we haven't been able to do.
What
So,
about the center of influences? Are you meeting them or virtually connecting with them, or what type of connections? How are you building those connections right now?
well, I think it's both. I mean, so we established those routes kind of end of last year. I say 6 months, but it's been 8-9 months, I guess, at this point. But we started building those stop and drop type relationships. End of the year last year, and we have been able to maintain them, digitally, and then sending them a 25 or $50 gift card to say, hey, get coffee on us,
Mm-hmm.
where you're not having to be in the same room, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
um, and now, at least, I mean, I know California is a totally different state than Georgia, but it seems like Georgia's now kind of back on not shelter in place, not, all that kind of stuff. And we're cognizant, trying not to, uh, upset people if we're walking into their businesses, that kind of stuff. But we have
Right.
started to reconnect. So I think it was
Okay.
cool because it, like, Zoom was actually a really big part of it. We started setting up Zooms with their staffs, and sending like a gift card. So saying, hey, let us buy you lunch and do a lunch and learn. We've just done them digitally. Um,
Nice.
that kind of stuff. So, I mean, as
There's
far as,
ways. We'll figure it out.
yeah, no, I mean, Zoom's cool because
Yeah.
it's helped us with a lot of things. What from a marketing standpoint, I mean, I know you guys do internet leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that everything? I mean, what do you guys do to sell that many units? I mean, you guys are crushing it.
Yeah, internet leads kind of has been what I really started off with. I started with my agency back in 2007. And my background, I was a call center agent, insurance agent working at a call center. So I just had learned skills to close, insurance policies. Right when I graduated from college, it's AAA. From 2004 to 2007, I was working in a call center. And then I was just used to having inbound calls and just outbound calls and just being busy because it was just a call center. You had to be on your phone all day long. And I started a farmers agency in 2007. With that experience, that definitely helped. But the very second day, I'm kind of like I kind of need things going on. I like to be busy. So I couldn't find a way to be busy because I was just so used to, my past experience, which is closing businesses over the phone. So I just literally just went to Google and said, how to get insurance leads. And these leads companies came out, and I started purchasing leads. And yeah, so I've been doing internet leads for 13 years. I think social media is also a big part of our marketing too. I think maybe the combination, once you get an internet lead, then, it's just social media is just a great way for them to get to know you. So a lot of times, um, showing them videos, instead of like calling them and only hearing a voice, send them emails with our pictures, links to videos. So we kind of have kind of a funnel or a system where we initially get the lead from an internet lead company, but I think the follow up and building the relationship without I'm trying to get them to know us, and pictures and videos and social media does a great job of that. So automatic emails, text. I think my whole thing with internet leads right now, and how the philosophy has kind of changed, is to try to get people to call us. I think there's a misconception when you get an internet lead is like we're gonna just bombard them. And I just never been like a fan of telemarketing or just calling people out of the blue or old leads, because it's just, it's not really effective because people don't like to be called these days. It's like, even if like my best friend called me, I'm just like, dude, just text me. What are you doing?
Are you
So
dying? Are you okay?
yeah, what's going on here? Why are you calling me? Yeah, even my mom to a certain point, and then we'll set up time to talk because it's just more convenient. So our philosophy is like, just, we don't call as much, but we mass email. We do so much emails, and that's kind of a more of accepted way of marketing, I think. And even text, I think, is getting a little bit more accepted. You got to be a little bit more careful with that. I think that you get people opting out a lot more if you go too aggressive on that. But email, I think you can be pretty aggressive as long as the message is very friendly and professional, and saying, hey, call us at your convenient time. And it's just a great way where it's just something is just running on its own. So every day, like, thousands of emails are getting sent out. Even if these leads are really old, as long as they didn't opt out, it's just a great way for us to stay in front of people. And I think insurance is kind of a game where you kind of have to wait until they want to talk about it, instead of like, hey, let's talk about it right now. Like, let's stop your day. Let me call you right now. Let me give you a quote. It's like, it's not really a great way to start a relationship. It's kind of seems desperate too. So email marketing, and really in general, digital marketing, social media, that's kind of been what I really lean into and try to learn more about, to get the phones ringing, which is kind of like my main goal, my main duty I look at.
I think, I think that all three, like with Jesse and I, we were talking a couple months ago. I mean, and I think he just posted his little interview for being Agent of the Year, and it was his job is to make the phones ring. And I think,
Oh yeah.
creating lead opportunities is what we as agents have to do. Um, when you say you're like auto emails and texts and all that stuff, getting people to call you, is that kind of goal? Do you have your own CRM and, mass email communication and all that?
Yeah, I pretty much built it up. Mailchimp is the provider, the software I use. Mailchimp is a great service. So easy to design your emails. Um, and Simple Text is the service I use for texting clients. But I haven't really looked into, so I don't really have like a CRM. I'm not sure if you call that a CRM, but it's just, emails and texts really. And then the leads, we just kind of organize them ourselves through Google Sheets. So it's nothing really fancy, to be honest with you. But the beauty of an automated system is if you spend the time to build it, then it's doing the rest of the work for you. And then you could always add more to it. So my goal is, if we get a lead, then we're really following up with them consistently till, till they opt out, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said like social media for the relationship, which I've seen your social media. I mean, I appreciate what you guys are doing because we're trying to do a similar thing where we're not, I don't want to be the insurance ad. I
Yeah.
just want to be someone fun to follow along with, and get to enjoy following the channel. It's like nobody wants to, even like Farmers Corporate. I mean, their entire social media is just let us sell you insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to bring value to our audience somehow. And really, buy insurance from us is just something that no one goes to social media to see. So a lot of things that work on social media is just humor. If you could bring that, that's great. Just friendliness, some type of positive, motivational, that kind of stuff works too. But you're absolutely right. I think some of the things that people think, oh, social media, okay, I'm just gonna tell them to call me every day. Like, no, people don't like to be sold to, but it is a challenge, but it's a new art form of marketing where you have to always think about what the audience would like to see rather than what you want to say to them.
Sure. So what I mean, is the entire, like, so if you've got your kind of funnel built up, I mean, the entire like raw material, is it still all purchased internet leads, or do you guys have a referral email campaign that you guys really run, or like
Hmm.
what's your mix of kind of new business at this point?
Yeah, I think internet leads is dominant, but we also have, directly from social media. I think you mentioned that too, that you see that happening as, you build up an audience. And then we also, same thing with emails, not as aggressively and not as much, but we'll just email our current clients. We have a separate list for that. So, tomorrow, a 4th of July, we're open tomorrow. So a 4th of July email will go out, and then letting them know. It's not really that salesy. We're just, hey, we're open, let us know. And then at the end, we'll say like, hey, keep us in mind for, if you have any friends and family, we also have these lines of business. So email is just another great way to just offer FFRs and stay in front of your clients. Um, and that's kind of been my strategy when it comes. So yeah, a mix of asking. So a lot of communication is done by written emails, but I would say most of it, yeah, 10% of our sales is probably from cross sell or referrals, but 90% of it is probably from internet leads and social media marketing.
So you guys have a pretty big budget for internet leads at this point.
Yeah, I think that's just something that as a business owner, knowing how many staff you have, the payroll cost. Um, um, but marketing and payroll, that's really where I like to put as much money into it as possible because, just throughout the years, I learned that, hey, the more I put into it, the more I get back later. But, it's just, investment. It's kind of like when you buy a book of business, you expect to have to pay up first to get money later. So that's something I've learned that, and I've gotten better at, being less scared and being more aggressive, and sometimes, taking the risk. I think that's the position we're in. That's different from our staff members because, you know, I don't want to like undervalue what they do because it's incredible and such a big part of obviously what we do is sales and customer service. But our staff could do that,
Mm-hmm.
or our staff can't put the money in or come up with creative ideas to market. I feel like the agency owner's job is to invest their money and come up with creative marketing campaigns or figure out which lead vendor is performing better, and just kind of the marketing part. I think is our main duty, because the customer service and sales jobs, those could be taught, whereas the marketing, we can't expect someone to bring somebody into our agency. Hey, can you bring us some more leads? That'll be a pretty difficult task to ask for.
No, I agree. I mean, I've kind of I've kind of like my philosophy has really been to provide opportunity to lead gen, so like investing in those marketing events and putting people in positions to win. But I have yet to have purchased a lead. Like we've done what we can to create opportunities to get leads, but not really gone out and purchased them, or gone out and like, so my producers, and I think that that's been kind of my realization this year is, lead flow determines success, and so when we've had marketing events, it's been kind of, we've done it for so long that it's like you don't even have to track it, do X number of marketing events, you sell X number of policies. Now it's, without that, it's been a lot of kind of learning from the ground up again. Okay, why were we successful with events? It wasn't that we were out, it was that we had fresh leads. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we continue to get fresh leads that we can sell? And that's where, the COI marketing kind of came from. And, me and Jesse sold, I guess, kind of a similar amount last year, and he did it through COIs and I did it through event marketing,
Mm-hmm.
personal lines wise. And so that's where I think, and then, I've had those years that we've been, 2,500, 3,000, policies sold. And I think that it's all been because of better lead flow. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that that conversation is really, how do we continue to see successful leads coming into the agency?
Yeah, I think that's where it all starts. If you think about it, if we didn't have a lead problem, the opportunity is endless.
Yeah.
We could always get more real estate, more office space, or we could find, it is a challenge. I'm making it sound easy, but find good people to service and sell the policies. But if the not the lead problem, but if the lead, that's really where everything starts. Without a lead, nothing really gets started. But if you get an overflow of leads, you could always hire more staff to sell them or hire more people, get bigger offices. So that's why a lot of times when I do my deep thinking, I'm trying to strategize for the future. My thought is always like, okay, how can I get more leads? How can I get more value for my marketing budget? How can I get the lead costs lower? So a lot of my times is just spent on just okay, the lead. I don't want to call it problem or issue, but the lead challenge, because once that's figured out, the rest of it still is a lot of work. It's not easy, but that's kind of where everything kind of starts for us.
So where are you finding your most success with leads? I mean, is it a single vendor or is it, buying home only leads? Or, I mean, I'm so green to that world. What has been your most success?
But when I first started, I was doing home leads. The home leads, they're a little bit more, but I just had a better clientele, just a better experience with them. And so to answer your question, I pretty much buy leads from pretty much almost every vendor that you heard of. Sometimes I have some shut off. I do probably could share that I haven't really jumped into the farmers programs uh, with EverQuote and Quote Wizard. I've used them in the past, but I haven't used the cost share on them. Um, I was, and I'm kind of like, trying to find out how that's working from other agents first to see what it is. But from my experience, I feel like if the lead cost is too low, it's almost too good to be true.
Sure.
So it's like you kind of get, same thing with staff or, office spaces. It's like you kind of get what you pay for. So if the lead cost is too low, I'm almost a little bit worried. And I really don't want to burn out my staff by, just having a bunch of wrong numbers or old leads, and it's just not a great work environment for them to have. Then they're almost like a telemarketer really, and that who wants to, that job is not sustainable. So I really rather provide them better quality leads, spend a little bit more on it, because at the end of the day, you kind of like end up maybe even spending less and get more for less work. Um, but some of the better quality companies, lead vendors are just like us. They have their good months and bad months. I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes, but I think social media is also another way where I'm trying to think like, okay, how can I just directly, because if you think about it, they're just a middleman. How can I directly um, meet, get in front of the consumer? So that's my own lead flow system is kind of like something that is a new challenge of mine that it's been fun to figure out.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've been trying to utilize the whole like giving back and helping businesses with COVID as kind of our big push in social media right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
as a, and we're not like trying to spam people with it, so we don't post about it all the time. But we try to we try to buy enough restaurant gift cards that it actually makes an impact for the restaurant. Um, and then we try to bundle it with a enough together in like a bi-weekly kind of giveaway. So $150 worth of restaurant gift cards, where somebody can actually go out and eat a couple meals. So it's actually a good, like, I found that as we've done giveaways, if it's too good of a prize, you get crappy leads. And if it's too low of a prize, it isn't worth it for people. You know what I mean? Like if you make it that you're giving away a Ferrari, everybody will sign up, but nobody will answer your call. You know
Right.
what I
You're just
mean?
doing it for that.
But if it's something that's like, that kind of thing, and then we have a Survey Monkey form that everybody fills out to be entered into the drawing, and in it says, "Do you want to quote? Yes or no?" kind of thing. And we've started to do that the last like 3 or 4 months, and so it's cool because it's the same budget that I would have like tried to use to give to local businesses anyways.
Right.
But instead of just giving them money, we're using it to also get leads. And so it's not my most successful system, but I'm also, the budget is zero. You know what I mean? Like the budget is what I was going to give away anyways.
Yeah.
So now it's like if I sell one policy, it's just free money kind of thing.
Because you want to help out the restaurants anyways.
Yeah.
So do they have to get a quote to enter into the raffle, or that's optional?
No, it's just they have to sign up for the Survey Monkey, which gives us their name and their email and all that.
Right.
So for MailChimp, like you're talking about, it gives us the ability to start that, trickle campaign. But it just asks, and I could, always send you what we ask in the Survey Monkey, but it's like name, phone number, email address, and are you interested in a quote? And, do you have these lines kind of thing? So we kind of know what we're dealing with. And what's cool is we've gotten, every 2 weeks, we spend $100 on Facebook to advertise it. So we've started to get, I think we've got 50 or 60 likes on our page over the last, 2 months kind of thing, just from it. And then we've sold, I think 5 or 6 policies, which again, I've spent, I don't know, it's like $300, $400 a month on it. So again, it's kind of one of those like rounding error type programs. But we've done it for the last 2-3 months. We spent $1,000 and we've got 6 or 7 policies out of it. And I was going to spend the money anyways, helping the restaurant. So really my only cost is that biweekly $100, to promote it on Facebook. And we just did the Survey Monkey, I guess a month and a half ago. We were just kind of giving away restaurant gift cards, buying them for the business. We just weren't asking people for information. Now we are. So I think that's been a big help, because I am exactly like you. Lead vendors make a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
How do we just self-gen? How do we do what they do?
Exactly. And even if you don't get their whole information, just getting the email, I think that's one of the things agency owners should always be thinking about. Okay, how do I build up my list? The bigger the list, that's yours. It's nobody else's. So the bigger the list, you could always go back to them. Sometimes I almost feel like I don't even have to ask for their phone numbers anymore. Like I just want your email, because we're probably not going to call you that much anyways. You don't like to be called. And if there isn't a phone number to fill out, then they're a little bit more, the forms gets filled out a little bit easier. People aren't like, oh, I don't want to give out my phone number, but my email, they gave that out. But yeah, and then also the Facebook part, that's great, because I think event marketing, that's pretty costly, right? I mean, each event.
It can be. I mean, it's like, it just depends on the event, but all of the events are kind of their own ROI, if I honestly, it's what you said with leads is true with events. Like if an event is too cheap, I'm not really interested, because my most expensive event is my best ROI. If they're going to charge you $5,000 for a weekend, they better give you an ROI.
There's got to be some people there.
So we do in order, like the best shows are the specialty shows, so like boat and RV,
Okay.
because generally those clients are the best clients.
Mhm.
Um, if you own a boat, you generally have a couple cars and a house. I mean,
Yeah.
if, and we're like landlocked 4 hours from water, and boat leads are our best leads.
Oh
It's
wow.
just
Yeah.
funny. It's funny like that. I don't know why that's such a good show in the heart of Atlanta, but it is.
Yeah.
So
Well, the clientele. I mean, now you gotta love. Not everybody can own a boat.
yeah,
So
and
you're
so
already talking to great prospects.
like we spend January, February, March is like trade show season.
Hmm.
That's where you have your kind of indoor boat, RV, home show type stuff. And my marketing or my year is really kind of like, January, February, March, April, it starts to spike. And then as we go into the summer, we start to dovetail a little bit, and then we pick back up in the fall, and then we're quiet again during end of November, end of December kind of time frame.
Hmm.
Um, and I haven't really fought that much because it means that I get a lot of time off during the holidays and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's cool because event marketing from a cost perspective, I don't know what your budget is on on lead gen, but or on internet leads being purchased. But I mean, like we've we've probably been 4 years into like aggressive um events. um 16, yeah, I mean 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, and those 4 years we went from, I don't know, 2,500 policies to 11,000 kind of thing.
Holy moly.
And so the ROI on that, I mean, I don't think I spent, obviously you have to, you need gear, so like at events we don't have we want to be professionals. We want
Hmm.
really professional backdrops. We want professional, like we have like a whole Torrey Pines setup where it's like, the backdrop is a picture of Torrey Pines. We did a putting green and the whole nine, and so we spent, I don't know, 20 or 30 grand over the years in stuff.
Hmm.
But I have not spent 100,000 a year in events because I kind of capped out. I mean, I do everything I can. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if I could spend 500,000 in events, I would do it. I mean, there's just not that many left. But I haven't spent that. And from an ROI, I mean, we've done anywhere from 2 to 3,000 policies a year, with 75, 80, 90% of those sales coming from events. So as much as you guys are leads, we're events,
Yeah.
and
Because
I
of the
guess,
return. That's
yeah, I
amazing.
mean, it's been, and so this year has been kind of frustrating, obviously, because we haven't had that. And I think, where you're exactly right. I mean, we don't do a ton of calls, like on a daily basis. If a producer does 25 calls, that's a lot, because they're talking to people, they're
Hmm.
connecting with people, they're actually doing quotes. And we've slowed down our sales process. We've slowed down the process where we try to really connect and have good quality leads. And
Hmm.
so, like out of events, we've had as high as, 60, 70% closing ratios on some of them, just because we're so selective of who we get at an event. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we filter on the front side so the people that we get are good leads. And
Right.
so what you said, I mean, I want my people to work smarter rather than harder. I want them to, be able to answer a call and sell a policy. I want them to make one phone call and somebody say, "Oh yeah, hey Lucas, how are you?" Not, "Who are you? Leave me alone. Go away. I
Yeah.
don't want to talk to you. You're the 43rd person that called me today."
Yeah. That I just look at my producers and be like, oh man, I'll feel horrible giving that job to somebody.
I've never made a cold call. I mean, like a true somebody did not want to talk to me call. And
Yeah.
I I've never bought a lead because I didn't know how to work those, and I didn't know, and I didn't want to do that job, so I didn't want somebody else to have to do it.
Exactly. That's why I look at my staff too. And speaking of staff, the number of staff you have, how are you what are some things you do for like culture building or employee retention? I think, which is also huge for I think building a successful agency, because you really don't want to have new people in your agency all the time. Um, I mean, 21 staff members, right? That's a huge team.
Yeah, I mean I've got it's really cool. Like, up until 6 months ago, I mean, it was just basically split down the middle, CSR producer. I think as an agency philosophy, there's either that everybody can do everything, or that you kind of departmentalize, the, um, the service department, the sales department, that kind of thing. And I went with the sales and service department. I want everything to be kind of separate, because what I found is, like, the more I've separated, the more success I've had. Because, like, if I have CSRs that have to service and there's just crazy phone days where it's, nonstop phone calls about service, the producers don't get any of those. And
Mhm.
so if they're not selling, they're not adding value to the agency. So, that's where I say, okay, it's time to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, your job is really defined by what you have ownership of,
Hmm.
so like we always do from a culture thing, like we always do an end of the year trip, um, which is great because we make it, 2 overnights, somewhere that's drivable, an hour or two away kind of thing. We've even done a staycation here in Atlanta, and everybody loved it because we're in a hotel and you really feel like you're not where you live.
Hmm.
Um, but I try not to change as much as I possibly can throughout the year. Like, that whole continuity generally helps you more than having perfect processes every minute. Like,
Yeah.
continuity on a 75% process is better than, no continuity and changing everything every day.
Yeah.
I think continuity creates competence in what your job is, and then competence produces confidence, and confidence is where you're effective. And
Hmm.
so with staff, we always do our end of the year meeting, and I always send out like a really in-depth survey monkey where it lets you do 10 questions for free, which is funny because then I basically make every question like 4 questions. So it's like, what do you love about the culture? What can we improve? What have we done poorly at? And, how would you rate us? So that entire block is one question. And so it takes an hour and a half for the average person to really dissect every question that's there.
So you're
But I
having
feel,
your employees assess you?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay.
So
That's
it's like
awesome.
I have like a, you know, where are we winning on marketing?
Hmm.
What opportunities are we missing? Uh, what do you like about marketing, and what can we improve? And then I'll ask culture, and then I'll say, Lucas Hathaway as agency owner, how would you rate him? 0 to 10. What can I improve on? What am I missing? And that kind of thing. How would you rate the culture overall? 0 to 10. We ask service. So like, how how are we doing at service? What processes could we implement? What processes could we be better at? What processes should we get rid of? That kind of thing. And so I ask all those questions, and I mean, it takes me weeks to kind of prep for this meeting because it takes, 2-3 hours to read each response, and
Hmm.
really kind of format a response to them,
Hmm.
and so I've got 20 different responses to each question. It helps. And so we do a 4-hour meeting, which I try. I'm like allergic to meetings. I try my best to do as little as I possibly can. And
Unless
so,
they're important like these. These are
yeah,
important.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
so that's where I'm like, 4 hours, Saturday morning, we're off site. I get you breakfast. I've got snacks. We basically lock ourselves in a room, and we spend 4 hours dissecting, those surveys, and then dissecting the business. And then I give kind of each staff person, okay, you're going to talk about service, and then, we have an open dialogue. Let's leave our egos at the door. um, you know what are we doing great, what are we sucking on, and how can we improve? And so I think that's our
Yeah.
annual thing. And then on a weekly basis, I do a CSR meeting Monday mornings, where we just stay in continuity. That one's
Hmm.
really just to keep the conversation going. I do a monthly producer meeting, and
Hmm.
then I do a monthly all hands meeting. So outside of that annual meeting, we do one meeting where the entire staff is here, 5:30 p.m. after the office is closed, and we do an hour. It's all about recognition and success and fun. We bought. I don't know if you've ever used a spin wheel, but I'm telling you, my people go nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
a $5 on a spin wheel is worth $100 bonus that I say next person to sell a policy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just the interaction,
Yeah,
or
it's just
yeah.
everybody loves it. So we made it really a life promo,
Uh-huh.
uh, where top life salesperson gets to spin the wheel, top apps gets to spin the wheel, top nose gets to spin the wheel, and then everybody that takes an app gets to spin the wheel at least one time. And then that person that took the most apps gets to spin the wheel the amount of apps they took. So we've had
Gotcha.
people take like 6, 7 apps. So they're sitting there spinning the wheel for 10 minutes, and it's like,
That's
they walk away with $60 and, 10 minutes of everybody, cheering them on to get it. It's fun. Like
yeah.
we put like one or two negatives on there. So there's always that, like, oh no, 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 oh, just like fun stuff. Like you have to clean the coffee maker, but it just makes it more fun where it's a community. So I think
Yeah.
that monthly sales meeting, the weekly, just kind of continuity, what's changing in farmers, that kind of stuff. And then the monthly nitty gritty kind of sales meeting to figure out what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong, kind of thing.
Right.
Um, and
I think
so,
that's awesome, man. I think that's really awesome because to build that size of agency, it's like I already knew before talking to you, like you got to be doing something right to be, having that much staff be with you first of all, you know, and to produce that much policies and for them to be that engaged. I think that's something that is really interesting where you actually get their feedback in a written way first, because sometimes I could kind of sense they want to tell me something because we have reviews too, but they could be a little, shy telling me exactly how they feel face to face, even though I could tell they want to say something. It may be hard to communicate that way. So the survey way to have them write it out so that they could take their time. They're not on the spot, and they could write it out. And really, I applaud you for really being so open to want to know how they feel
mhm.
and what their feedback is. They're on the front lines. So I think that's something that I learned a lot from right now. To
Yeah.
just
You can make it anonymous too.
do
So
you
that's what, yeah.
do you or no?
Mhm.
Or you do make it anonymous?
So then you really get everybody's kind of true feelings. And I mean, we've been kind of just on this gargantuan success run, kind of like you guys. And so I ask, number ratings, me, culture, all that. And I haven't got below like an 8, you know what I mean? And it's almost like I'm frustrated. Like I want somebody to have a problem with something, you know what I mean? But
But
if
that
you have a
holds you accountable
problem,
too, because
yeah,
you're always thinking like, okay, I gotta at the end of the month, how they gonna rate me,
yeah.
So you're almost thinking like, what am I doing for them? And I think that's the right attitude to have when it comes to staff. What can I do for them? Um, so
What
um,
about you guys? I mean, in comparison to us, as little staff as you have, I mean, obviously you don't have a little staff, but half the staff and more results. I mean, how do you set everything up, and how do you maintain culture and all that?
yeah, ours we don't have, and I love that idea because during Christmas time it kind of maybe slows down, so maybe I have time to do something like that. Ours is quarterly, so every 3 months, individually, one-on-one, face-to-face. What you're doing good at, what you're doing bad at, what our goals. Whether it be everything. Some of the KPIs would be like sales goals, obviously, how much in premium per month you want to average for the next 3 months, what your attendance percentage should be. How many 5-star reviews. We like to get reviews online. That's kind of something that's important to us. And then everything from payments to hours on the phone and how many phone calls. So those are things that we measure and we talk about. So that's every 3 months. Weekly basis, we do book reviews. So we like to read books, motivational books. And before the book reviews, we sit down and we have to have it in small groups now because of COVID. But that's actually better because the phones are still being answered. So in a group of like 3 or 4 of us, we'll just talk about, we call it weekly wins. So we say, hey, share anything positive that happened during the last week since we last met. And that could be about work or personal. So sometimes they'll tell us like, hey, I sold this policy because of this happened, that happened, this happened, and I thought I was going to lose it, but underwriting accepted it. Just or it could be like personal. They could be like, hey, yeah, um, finally moving out on my own place. I mean, that'd be a big one, but sometimes it's as little as like, hey, I was able to like um, see my grandma, like just something positive. So we kind of get to know what's going on in their lives because part of our culture in our office is that we like to we get busy, so we don't it's hard to kind of get to know each other, especially when one person's sitting here and one person's sitting there. So I kind of like to at least once a week sit us all down, talk about our personal lives and positive stories because there's so much negativity in the media and just a lot of you know just trying to keep a positive atmosphere. And then the book itself, that's all motivational and that's has really helped us. So we read a chapter. I had them read a chapter on their own time and then share their favorite line or paragraph, and we talk about that. And then we do a monthly sales results meeting. So I hold that. A lot of my staff members are like moms, so I hadn't really like brought it up. I kind of have, but if I ask, hey, you guys want to go on a trip? Probably everyone would be like, no, no thanks. Just give us a bonus or something. So that has been challenging where I see other agencies do that, like take them out to dinner and things like that. But a lot of them, have a lot of commitments and responsibility outside of work, which I'm very empathetic to. So I don't never force them to, go on trips or dinners. But that's something I, I feel brings value too. But I try to do everything since that's not too much of a possibility for us to try to do it by meetings, short meetings. But like I don't like boring meetings too, so I just like to have it as fun and interactive as possible instead of me telling them what to do.
When we do the same quarterly, OKR meetings where we're setting success goals for the next quarter, and sounds like we have a book club that I ask people to read a book a month and do a 1-page book report, things that you like, things you didn't, and then I call somebody out for in a positive way, like for our monthly sales meeting where they get to talk about the book and really give us a rundown of what they liked from it, what they got out of it, that kind of thing. And so it's funny. I mean, a lot of success leaves clues. A lot of what
Yeah.
you guys are doing is what we're doing, even being 4,000 miles away. I think I don't know that like the trip is necessarily some like, dynamite piece, but I love that. My favorite part's the 4-hour meeting,
Hmm.
as nerdy as that is, we really try to do that. And I brought in a Navy SEAL to my, kind of PC success meeting. When every time we get PC, we always do like a big dinner as a thank you for everybody and really kind of try to spoil everybody as much as we can. And so I brought in a Navy SEAL and he really helped a lot of um, the questions around like, how do we grow from here and stuff.
Hmm.
And he said the reason Navy SEALs are so good is Navy SEALs are a team, and teams are better than individuals. And I actually have it recorded. I'll share it with you. Just something that he said, I can share it as long as it stays off social media and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
cool
absolutely.
to watch it. But he talks about when you have the Navy SEALs, there's leadership at every level. And so really, as we were kind of transitioning into that, we had that meeting and it was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And so this year we've had more success kind of in each line than we've ever had. And it's because I've started to not just department like personal lines or, not just department sales and service, but now it's personal lines. And now I've got a guy that's doing business sales. And then I've got a life specialist. And now I've got somebody in licensing for FFS, so like, and I'm promoting within. And so it's cool because now all these people are watching all these other people get these next higher levels of success, and they want it too. They want to go out. So I think, Mark Cuban says entrepreneurs drown in opportunity. I think you and I have been really good at developing a niche and, being successful in it. But now, as Amazon created this worldwide distribution channel, now they sell everything,
Right.
and so I'm not going to add every line in a 6-month period of time. But what's cool is we, over the last year, basically have hired a life specialist, and we've done 15 policies more this year than we did last year. And then,
We're only halfway.
yeah. And then, so we've had 400% success. And then business, we did, 200K in premium, which is on par with our best business years. And I started that this quarter, and so I think that leadership at every level has been something that's really been a key takeaway for me is, as my staff has grown, obviously we have to keep servicing the book. Obviously we have to keep marketing. Obviously we have to keep doing these things, but the more I can provide ownership of things, the more everybody is successful. And so on the service side, this year we came out with captain projects. So like each CSR is ultimately responsible for one thing. So we make 30-day calls, when we sell a new piece of business. So one person is responsible for making all the 30-day calls. We have somebody that's kind of responsible for renewals because I don't really do FFRs anymore. We transition renewals to birthday calls. So the person that does renewals just really focuses on the really bad ones or the really good ones, that like 20% rate increase type stuff or the 20% decrease. But on an annual basis, we call primary and secondary for their birthday. So, I want half the time that I'm talking to you to not be talking about how much your rates suck. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the
Like
only
that's
time.
not.
That's the only conversation you have.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
can already read the email. You already see that
Yeah.
your rate went up. Like I want to have a conversation where I'm wishing you happy birthday. So we've made our service journey ownership from each person, so that I don't like, because as I grew, it kept being like, oh, this person was doing that person was doing that, and it just kind of got really frustrating. And so instead of that, we got more specialized. Where okay, you do all the birthday calls, and we swap captain projects quarterly. And so your job doesn't get stale. You don't do the same thing every day for 5 years.
Right.
And I think that's been a good part of our retention. And then that promotion from within and leadership at every level has been kind of that next level where Brian is our top producer. Now he's in business. Suzette was our top, CSR, and now she took over life, and it's cool to see those results because now it's not me doing anything other than just my, I'm talent manager, so I'm doing these OKR meetings. Everybody sends me a weekly breakdown of where they're at versus where they're at for their goal. I'm hiring, I'm training, I'm coaching, those kind of things. And then I'm marketing and all that, but I'm not selling an auto policy. I'm not really even selling the life policies. I sit down with final appointments. I don't source leads. They get the lead, they get the app, they get it approved, and I'm sitting down with an approved piece of business over a Zoom call, and I just figure out which one they want to do. You know what I mean? So I think that piece has been such a huge piece of 2020 is, even with the biggest headwind we've had with just our entire marketing collapsing, it's been our best year because we've had people taking over kind of at every level.
Yeah. No, I really like having people do specific jobs, because everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. Not everyone's a sales superstar. Some people have more empathy or more, emotional IQ to become better at customer service. So I really like to have people and it'll be impossible to ask somebody to be like, hey, can you do everything? Because it would be too daunting, and every day would be so unpredictable that I always look at like, okay, am I would I be comfortable giving this person this job? And do I feel good about giving this person this job? Whereas if this person was, okay, you're the life specialist, you're going to focus on life sales. Okay, you're going to have, or if you're a CSR, you're responsible for this list. I think that's just so much of a more of a, it's so much easier to become a master at that position than be okay at everything. So I absolutely agree with that. That's how my staff is set up too. Like, okay, this is your duties. This is your, these are your KPIs. This is what you're going to be good at. And once they move on from that position to another higher level, then we have somebody else taking that position. So I think that what you touched on, I absolutely agree with too, because one of my challenges that I give myself all the time is like, hey, how can I just create another opportunity? I never want somebody to be capped out at this position if they're very ambitious. So another level to get to within the agency, and then that's a beautiful thing because the newer people could see that, hey, she started here, now she's here, now she has these duties, now she has these duties, and as she has more responsibilities, her income has increased. So the newer people could see a career path would be like, oh, okay, I could fill that role. And sometimes, when things don't work out or they go on maternity leave and they fall off for some reason, we have somebody really ready to step into their shoes. So I do agree that having specific roles and duties makes our jobs easier. And I almost look at it like same thing for me. Like we can't as agency owners be selling and customer service and doing everything that entails in operating a business. That's why I like to step out of that role too, those roles, and be like, okay, I'm gonna gotta figure out the marketing, I gotta figure out the recruiting, these macro strategies. I think is really better for us to focus on because I would love to just sit there and sell. I kind of miss it actually some days,
Oh yeah.
but we have to do what's best for our agency, and now we're also challenging ourselves into new territories too. Because as a business owner, as your staff gets bigger and your book of business gets bigger, and how to keep growing, the challenges gets bigger. So it's been a fun journey. It's been really fun reinventing ourselves and our agency along with it.
I got to say, man, this is awesome. I would we need. I've been talking to a couple other agents. Like half the strategies I do, I feel like are or I'd say 80% strategies I do came from somebody else. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'm just a really good pirate in taking over successful processes. But
But it's funny how we already have similarities, though. I
yeah,
mean, we all spend money on marketing somewhat and effort into it. That event, that's money and that's time and that's thinking of how to set things up. It's just really just a different way. But the bottom line is that we're putting effort into it. And putting the money behind it too. Um, but yeah, there's so much to learn from each other. That you're absolutely right.
well, I want to respect your time. I know you're, the man in demand now.
Yeah.
That's a heck of an award, and I'm excited to, it's funny is when I saw the qualifiers and I saw that you were on the list, I said to my wife, like, oh, he's personalized agent of the year. And she's like, no, that's you. I'm like, no, it's Dan. Like, you need to see what Dan did. Like, Dan eclipsed me in a good way. I'm excited to raise the bar of what's possible, and I want me and you to be miserable failures in comparison to what other people are doing, so we have that much more to go after.
Yeah.
There's such an apathy with that, like, it seems like that 10,000 policy ceiling is kind of a glass ceiling even for the best agencies, where that getting past that, there's not a lot of people that do,
Hmm.
and that 10,000 policy or 10 million in premium, kind of however you want to look at it, kind of becomes that cap. And I'm excited for what you're doing. And I don't know if you've had a chance to talk with Tasha down in Florida, but she's the one that's just
Oh
crushing
yeah.
it. She's
I see her numbers. Yeah.
yeah, it's just insane. She's been around for like a year and a half. She's got 15 staff. I mean, she is a business owner through and through. So should
That's
get some time
exciting.
with her
No,
because she
I'm
does
I'm
leave
with you.
too.
I love seeing, us do well. It's just inspiration, and I sometimes I almost feel like that award. I tell myself like, okay, I don't even want to think about it. I pretend like I didn't want to win it, because one of the things I'm afraid of is like I never want to be in a situation where I feel like I'm too good to learn, or I reached the pinnacle, because the potential in this business is so high that I like to think that um, 20K is the goal. 20K policy in force, 20 million is in force, because there's agents in Allstate that are doing that, and it's just like, why couldn't farmers agents do that? So I never want to look at myself in a position where I'm doing well. It's like I almost don't let myself tell myself that. Sometimes I do, if I'm, as entrepreneurs, we have some days to, like, make myself feel better. I need that every once in a while, but I keep on telling myself like I haven't done shit. And I like to tell myself that all the time, and that kind of what keeps me going. But also, seeing everyone else's success uh, is good too, because I kind of understand without even talking to you. This is the first time we talked, but I already know what you've been through, and I can really relate to you know your journey.
No, I mean it's been fun. I've enjoyed the ride, and I'm just like you. I mean, uh, I think that where I'm at is, when I started the business, I said, okay, I'm going to have 100 million in premium. Like that, I want 200 staff people. I want 100 million in premium, and I want to be the largest book that's ever existed with farmers. And that, so like as we've crested like 10 or whatever it is, it's like cool, but I'm a tenth of the way there, and
Oh man, I love that.
at my current pace, that's 70 years. So how can I, or 49 years really, how can I make that less time,
Yeah,
so like I want to get to where we're doing 1,000 policies a month. I want to get to where we're doing 2,000 policies a month. I want to get to where we're doing thriving business department, thriving personal lines, thriving financial services, whatever. And I think that if we do that kind of stuff, I mean, it just raises the bar for all of us,
yeah,
where if there's $100 million book in farmers, 10 sounds like a joke, you
yeah. And
know?
then think about all the the upcoming generation that want to be a farmer's agent.
Yeah.
That was just like people will just work harder because they know it's possible.
Hmm.
So not only you're just helping out yourself and your staff, but we'll be helping out the next generation too. So, and just thinking big like that just gets you excited too. If that did happen, I mean, that'd be so awesome that we'll go through the suffering that it requires to get to the next level. So yeah, I'm with you. Setting big goals. That's a new level goal, but I might take that one from you, Lucas. 100
I,
million.
it's yours now. It's yours now.
100
100
million.
million.
I'll
I'll
stick to
race you
20 million.
there. I'll
All
race you to
right.
100 million.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
no, I appreciate the time. I want to respect yours, obviously. I'd love to, get together a few more times. I think we touched on so much that it's like it's hard to really dive into anything. And
Yeah, no.
if we can't
Yeah,
help each other.
definitely. I kind of want to talk to you about how your fitness part of it, relates to what you do. I think there's a big correlation there. I know with social media you're an avid runner. I kind of want to ask you about that. So yeah, let's talk again, and hopefully, when things settle down, I'm pretty sure in the future we'll have some opportunities to actually meet each other
Absolutely.
in these achievement clubs. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry that this is the first PC that never happened, but it is what it is.
Hey,
What's funny is they always talk about the sophomore slump. So this being your freshman
yeah,
year, they talk about the sophomore slump because you start to pat yourself on the back. You're like, man, I'm doing well, but when you don't have a trip,
yeah.
it's like there's no sophomore slump.
It's a blessing. Plus, we got the money,
Yeah,
so I could use that on leads. So
and
I think it kind of worked out for us, for
I would
me.
not have spent that much money on that trip. So it was a
Yeah,
blessing in disguise.
yeah. But I think the camaraderie and meeting other agents is a huge part of what I was looking forward to. So definitely, I'm sure we'll get a chance to hook up and connect there.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I'll reach out to you. Let's see if we can't set something up in the next couple weeks and see if we can't kind of dive in. I think that this was great because it, showed me a lot of things that I want to kind of dive in with you, and I'm sure vice versa. And that could spend a little bit more kind of targeted time, getting nitty gritty with some stuff, see if we can't help each other.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, hopefully we'll be helping the other agents too.
Yeah.
Because I think we touched on the good things that I learned a lot from you, and I'm pretty sure other will bringing value to other agents too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Well, hey man, have a good night, or I guess a good day. I mean, you're 3 hours
Hey,
behind me.
I'm just getting started. I'm doing the book review right now, and then I have a bunch of people to catch up to. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy day, but that's what we signed up for.
All right. See you, Dan.
All right, Lucas. Thanks, man.